Let's talk about mouthpieces. You can't play trumpet without one. Well, you can, but it's not very good. But with the wrong one, you probably won't play very well either. So, how do you know which mouthpiece is the right one for you? And this is some controversial material, too, so buckle up. I went on my own personal mouthpiece safari a couple years ago when I got some dental work done, and I wasn't happy with how I was playing or sounding, so I decided to change things up. With the way my mouth is shaped and how I play, I had been having trouble playing on my then go-to mouthpiece, the Monet B15 MS12. My mouthpiece progression went something like this. I started in middle school with the box 7C that came with the horn. I then went to a 5C and then a 3C. I'm not really sure why. I think I told a mentor that I wanted to darken my tone, and he got me those. Afterwards, I discovered the gold-plated Bach Megatone mouthpiece, which featured extra mass for a darker sound. Also, I thought it looked cool. I played on a 1C Megatone through high school and entering college. Once I started playing in college, I decided I wanted to play orchestral music, and I switched the 1C Megatone to a Monet B15 MS12 at the suggestion of my trumpet professor. It has a super deep cup and a big throat for resonance in the lower range, which I needed since I was on second and sometimes third trumpet in orchestra, and I was the bass in my trumpet ensemble. I liked how it sounded, but something happened in college that made me plateau as a player and actually regress. I was playing with too much tension and force and kind of developed the yips. The yips are a pseudo-psychological condition where you physically forget something you've been doing for a long time. A lot of times we refer to the yips in athletics. Simone Biles famously suffered the yips. She calls it the twisties because gymnasts twist. The twisties are being able to perform difficult gymnastics moves under stress. And that's not something you want to try and do if there's a good chance you're going to break your neck if you're not ready to go. After I left school, I played on and off, a little discouraged about my stamina and range. Later, I decided to make a change. I'd been researching mouthpieces for a while and came across an advertisement for the Wedge mouthpiece on Facebook. Dr. Dave runs the company, and I spoke to him personally over Zoom for probably close to an hour, if not longer, at no cost or obligation. He explained to me the current atmosphere in the mouthpiece industry and how insane it can be to try and find a mouthpiece. There are several aspects to consider when looking for a mouthpiece, from the overall tone, the resistance, and what range the mouthpiece is best suited for. My feeling at the time was that I wanted a versatile mouthpiece that I could play basically anything I wanted, but I also wanted to keep the cup depth because I had grown to like my sound and wanted to keep it. Dr. Dave has his own mouthpiece equivalency charts that he was able to cross-reference the exact specification of my Monet mouthpiece and make it into a wedge. He has a scanning device that uses a laser to accurately and precisely measure all the features of the mouthpiece, and he's cataloged so many. You can even compare cross-section profiles of different mouthpiece brands and models on his Wedge mouthpiece website. He showed me another mouthpiece page that had hundreds if not thousands of entries, but I don't have that link anymore. But he may let you have it if you set up an interview and ask nicely. A wider throat was recommended for a more free-flowing and less stuffy sound. Everything else is just like the Monet except for one feature. You may notice the Monet mouthpiece shanks are shorter than others, and for me I found out that the intonation on a lot of the notes were terribly out of tune, and the short shank appears to be the culprit. So here's the way I understand the Wedge mouthpiece to work, and honestly I can only attest to what I've noticed in my own playing. The major difference is in the rim. All other mouthpieces have the flat rim, and for some players that doesn't complement our rounded teeth and jaw. When we play on a flat rim, our lips can get pinched between the teeth and the mouthpiece at a point. That can cut off the blood circulation. And I'm not a doctor, but I do know that blood is essential for your lips to work. For me, when I play on a straight rim mouthpiece, I have severe stamina problems. No matter what the endurance methods I play, I have no chops after about 20 or 15 to 20 minutes. With the wedge, I have an incredible amount of playtime, and I don't feel tired. My last solo performance included about 6 tunes with a loud piano accompaniment, no microphone, which ended with super loud versions of 2 Sousa tunes and no room for rest. After I played, I still felt pretty good. I also like to record. With a straight rim, I have to take 10 to 15 minute breaks in between takes. With the wedge, I can go take after take after take. I'm sure there are other benefits to the wedge, but I just don't know about them. Would I encourage everyone to go out and buy a wedge? Well, if money is no option, sure. But I would not say a wedge mouthpiece will 100% cure your ills. There's no such thing. But again, it certainly helped me break through some of the challenges I faced. If you consider how people play trumpet, the majority of players contract their lips inward to the midline to assist playing higher or lower. The wedge allows our lips to more easily pass by the rim, allowing insertion without getting caught on the edge of the rim. Without the full circle of the flat rim, it's easy to flex in and out, hence the term flexibility. When I play passages with a wide range, I can connect the notes easily. I've also increased my confident range by a couple of whole steps. And I say confident range because I can give you an E flat on command, but I can play you an F every once in a while on a good day. Before, I could pop off a high C, but that was about it. Now it's up to an E flat. And I don't normally play much above a C, but I've noticed during range exercises it's easier to play more freely. I think it helps my upper lip stay loose, and I find the resin hybrid rim comfortable. I am very careful storing my wedge mouthpiece because the rim can scratch and break easily, so I treat it like it's my baby. My wife actually crocheted me a pouch with soft yarn that I keep inside another leather pouch, inside another fabric pouch, so it's pretty safe. Wedge actually offers bent shank models for those playing with severe overbite or underbite. They also have some shaved off asymmetric mouthpieces as well. Do I notice any negative effects from playing wedge versus playing on a normal straight rim mouthpiece? No. It's a joy to play. I have noticed one thing, a little less availability of pedal tones, but I don't perform pedal tones. I just do some every once in a while when I'm practicing. And I'll gladly substitute pedal range for high range. Find me a trumpet player who will substitute high range for pedals, and I'll show you a baritone player. All that being said, Dr. Dave gave me a few other pointers that were helpful. Number one, I wear a mustache. The hair on the upper lip can limit your range as well as the bottom lip. I shave a line above my lip and below so I don't have that problem, and I've noticed it makes a difference. The other helpful advice was that nothing replaces good practice. You're not going to gain an octave because you get a mouthpiece with a shallow cup and thin bore, however much we wish that were true. Nothing helps a trumpet player better than quality practice. Let's talk briefly about how we compare mouthpieces. We use equivalency charts, which compares the specifications for each brand and model. I think most trumpet players base mouthpiece equivalencies on Bach mouthpieces. I've heard it's like a Bach 1C or 7C, and people immediately think they know just about how the mouthpiece is being described. The problem is, Bach might not know what a real 7C is anymore. There are differences between 7Cs made 20 years ago to 10 years ago and the 7Cs made today because of technology, materials, and probably some uncalibrated equipment at one point or another. Also, if you consider the name 7C, that's only two measurements, the cup and the rim. The cup diameter is a 7, and the cup depth is a C. What does that mean? It doesn't have any specific measurements. It also does not account for the length of the shank, the bore, the throat, the rim size, or the rim taper from the tip of the shoulder of the rim and onwards. How does that go down? Those things might be presumed with a chart, but 7C literally just means two things, the cup diameter and the depth. As far as equivalency charts go, there are hundreds, and they all just about have the same information. However, they may lack certain brands. You also have brands like Yamaha and Schilke that add more information to their mouthpieces. I have a lot of friends who play on convertible Schilkes, and they can substitute cups, rims, and shanks for whatever they want. That brings me to mouthpiece selection. There are a few things to think about when you start. What kind of sound do you want? If you want a bright, solo, jazzy, high-range sound, go for a shallow cup that slots the high range better. If you want a dark orchestra sound, try a deep bathtub cup. If you want something in the middle that's versatile, I think kind of what a 7C is supposed to be, go for a medium depth and diameter. But there's an easier way to get a good mouthpiece without even knowing what a bore or a rim or a shank or a throat is. The best way to select a mouthpiece is to go somewhere where you can sit down in front of a bunch of mouthpieces and play them one by one. You slowly filter out what you like and what you don't like, and do this blindly without looking at the numbers or models. After you do some sorting, take a look at the numbers and how similar they are. The trick is to find a place that will let you do that, though. Depending on where you live, you may or may not have a local brass shop or brass dealer. Those are probably the places to start. Big box music stores are less likely to have a good variety of mouthpieces and probably just have the standard box Yamahas, Schilkes, and Blessings. For the best experience and potential for a great vacation, go to one of the several annual festivals or conventions like the International Trumpet Guild meeting or the National Trumpet Competition in Washington, D.C. They have dozens of representatives with horns and mouthpieces and music and accessories for trial and purpose. It's a literal trumpet heaven. The bottom line is up to you. You're the one playing trumpet. Do you feel like you need a couple kinds of mouthpieces? One for when you play high and bright, and one for just normal playing? That's okay. Do you feel like you could find a mouthpiece that achieves everything you want in one? That would be great. Nothing's going to make you play better than diligent practice and committing to a process. Once you've picked your mouthpiece, give it a good run. When you decide to keep switching over and over, you're spending a lot of money potentially and just going around in circles instead of improving where your sound is. All mouthpieces do the same thing. There are only small differences that subtly change the shape that may or may not make playing more comfortable and easy. Mouthpieces are a big part of the sound, but you also have the lead pipe and the bell, which can also be adjusted for a different sound, if that's what you're going for. I highly recommend going and talking to Dr. Dave at his website. Even if you don't buy one of his mouthpieces, his website has so much information on just mouthpieces, and he does a lot better job explaining things than I do. You know, he's Dr. Dave because he was I'm not sure if he still is, but he was an emergency room physician. So he understands the anatomy that's going into everything, and he has a good grip on his mouthpieces.